Okay, so let's start it. Yeah, if you need more, a little more, no problem. Okay, it's our stage. Okay, dinner, dinner. Nice to meet you.
Okay, who's ready to not speak Portuguese for 40 minutes? All right. Me hablo un poquito español. I know Spanish is different than Portuguese, but me llamo Josue, Joshua, Barba Azul. See? So I walk around, and actually, my first slide is why do I have a blue beard? A lot of people ask me this, and rather than explain it to each one of you all day, I'm going to do it once right now and once again at 4:40, I think, 4:20. So look, I love SAP. That's the short answer. I am paid not only to travel the world and present on technical topics, but to explain why my face is blue. It's amazing. So what I love is the people, though. The people connect us. And I do technical presentations. I've been at Sapphire. So I started in 2007, by the way, with SAP. I look a lot younger because this is covering gray hair. I'm very old. And so that's not a joke. Why are you laughing? so, so being that I'm a senior person, and I've been here since 2007, I was a technologist. I worked in IT. I loved my BlackBerry. Used to play Brick Breaker all the time. And then iPhones came out. And I was a technologist working on iPhones and deploying them for SAP before they were allowed. So the IT department, we're a German company, for those who don't know that. They're pretty strict on security. And what happens is they said, we're not going to allow iPhones. They're not secure like a BlackBerry. So we had to work on this all through 2007 to 2010. Anybody know what changed in 2010? Why did Apple make SAP roll out devices in 2010? The iPad came out. And all the executives were looking at analytics. So what was just shown, was it Lucas before me? Shown all that stuff with clean core and analytics and Fiori. Looking at that on a phone was too small. And looking at it on a laptop was okay. But I look out here and I see a lot of maybe clean cores and we're looking at an analytics and we want to get the answer. What's going on with our business objects data? How do we look at, so that was when I was there, rolling out business objects mobile. And all the iPads came out. We rolled out 4,000 iPads in 6 weeks across the world to the sales force. That was a big project. That got me famous before I had a blue beard. Because they were like, how did Josh and his team roll these out? And it wasn't me. There was a bunch of people in IT that did it. But I got to be a part of that project and tell that story, which we turned into SAP Runs SAP. So then I'm a technologist. I'm going around the world as a solution engineer now, explaining how our SAP Sybase products, building mobile applications. Anybody remember SUP, the Sybase unwired platform? Right? So that was like amazing to me. And also inside of that, in the canvas, we connected business objects. And I'm like, why do we have business objects inside of SUP? And we have business objects for analytics. So I'm learning all about how they do it. Then there's GL4 language with Cyclo, which was mobile field force workers. The utility pole workers were using mobile apps that SAP powered. And so all this stuff is now swirling around me, and I'm becoming a technologist. I then get into being a solution engineer. And I'm talking to people about how our product works. And SAP is so simple, it took no time, right? So simple to explain. Every day, a new product, a new name. How does it incorporate to HANA Cloud Platform, right? And Neo, which I didn't know. Neo is the NetWeaver Operations Cloud. I wasn't a NetWeaver guy. I didn't know that's what Neo was for. And so now I'm learning about all these cloud operations we have, and we changed it from HCP, the HANA Cloud, to SCP. Working on that, then we get into so much HANA, and they're like, you have to start doing databases all the time. And I was like, I'm not a database guy. So I leave databases by leaving SAP. I went to work for Red Hat. I was at a little company doing supply chain for like 5 seconds, and then I went to Red Hat. Red Hat was great. The problem was I was selling to public sector, mobility, and cloud. They didn't even really know what Kubernetes was yet. And doing containerization and orchestration with Kubernetes was insanely complex, and the government was like, we're not buying that. So I learned a lot about OpenShift from Red Hat, and SAP said, will you come help us train our cloud salespeople on what the cloud is? So that's 2017. So now it's been 10 years since I started with SAP, a company I'd never heard of before I started. I didn't know what it was. I lived in Philadelphia, And I had no idea what this big software company was that had a campus. So now fast forward to 2017, you've got a guy that's super technical now who understands mobility, cloud, doing Node.js packages, all this cool stuff from Red Hat, and I'm explaining it to SAP, and they cannot spell Kubernetes. They don't understand containerized applications. They're not ready for it. Now I'm like, well, I want to talk about that. So I got into open source. I got to talk about Project Gardener. Anybody know Gardener? Oh, you guys should look into it, right? It powers the infrastructure. It's an orchestration manager of Kubernetes clusters for containerized applications, open source from SAP, living in data centers of telecom companies around the world. On top of that, Kima. Okay, so Kima lives on top of the Kubernetes clusters. So these Kima containers that are being orchestrated are on top of SAP's open source projects. I was also honored to work during that hard time of the pandemic on the pandemic tracking app for the government in Germany. So the state of Germany contracted Deutsche Telekom and SAP to build an application. So we were up all night answering questions, making sure we were legitimately tracking who had been reported as having COVID, who didn't have it, and all this was going on in mobile apps powered by SAP technology. Open source project, really cool, really powerful. So that gets me into where I get a call saying, hey, do you want to be a solution guy that doesn't do anything with sales? I was like, okay, what does that mean? A developer advocate. You're going to talk about code to your audience, and you are not going to have to be a part of a sales cycle. You're going to educate, you're going to engage, you're going to empower, you're going to connect the dots for all the people that you meet in SAP. And I was like, I don't know all the SAP code, I can't do that. And they said, no, no, no. We got guys that do HANA. We have people that do ABAP. We have people that will do all the front-end applications in Fiori, the UI5, which is another great open source project. So I'm like, okay, I'll join the team, focus on mobility and cloud, open source, and I start traveling the world in 2018 doing that. Then what happens? Lucia Sabatine, she's the one. She was a solution engineer for us, or maybe a consultant. Then she became a developer advocate on HANA. Now she's at Google. Lucia says, none of you guys are any fun. You don't have any personality. I said, I have personality. I've been talking in front of customers for years. He goes, you don't have any color in your hair. I said, Lucia, I have no hair, no pelo. So, also not a joke. That was a big laugh. No, so then I say, I don't have hair. She goes, you can do your beard. I said, nobody does their beard. That's insane. So I didn't realize I had a superpower. I was completely invisible. I was a middle-aged white guy with a bald head, a beard. Nobody saw me. I could be hanging out. Where's Josh? He's somewhere back there near the bar somewhere. And then I put this on, no longer invisible. People who knew my personality already, they already liked talking to me. They already knew there was more to me than just a pretty face. So then I'm now Mr. Bluebeard. I didn't call myself Mr. Bluebeard. I would email people I've known for 20 years, and they would say, oh, I saw you on LinkedIn, Mr. Bluebeard. I'm like, okay, do me a favor, make a comment, because that shows that my manager can see I'm working. So that's the really long story of how I got a blue beard, but it's exciting for everybody except my wife. So she's very, very tolerant. So get this. All right, we're all friends. This isn't being recorded, right? No, just kidding. No, so my wife and I, next year, been married, how many years you think? Any guesses? Close, 30 next year. Yeah, so she's very tolerant. I do this every 2 weeks, and we go out in our local village, which is like 20,000 people, live in a place called Phoenixville, which is like the bird that was on fire that rose from the ashes. And I'm walking around Phoenixville, and it's kind of a cool little borough, we call it, a cool little village. Hey, there's a guy with a blue beard. There's a guy with a blue beard. Who's getting coffee? It's the guy with the blue beard. So my wife will go out with me, and she's going to hate I tell the story. And I'll look right at you. So you're me, and I'm the waitress in a restaurant. Oh, my God, your blue beard. It matches your eyes. Oh, this is great. My wife is right there. She's like, really? So, yes, women will, like, come up to me, and older women will, like, touch my face. I'm like, okay. But I'm very tolerant because I know you guys are all you enjoy me here, right? This company employs me. This is not all I'm doing it for, to be the attention getter. I'm doing it for you because then I get to come here and talk about what we care about, which is the SAP community. So we did a code jam yesterday. It had to do with Gen AI. I'm not a Gen AI expert, but I was lucky enough to work in the developer advocate team for over 5 years one of our developer advocates, Nora Von Thienen, wrote a great session on Gen AI, and Antonio Maradiaga, who set up the LATAM Roadshow, said, hey, if you're going to the SIT, can you throw in a code jam before we go over to Lima and Mexico City and Bogota? I said, no problem. People in Sao Paulo, they love me. I don't know why, but they do. And I'm going to go there and do a code jam before the SIT. And this was really good, 5 to 6 hours, hosted by XED Consulting. We did one last year in the SAP office. And the idea is that you're playing with the Gen AI code. You're actually building it using BTP. You're going into a system that we turned on AI Core, because a BTP system can't use AI Core for free, because every time you make a request against it, it's costing money. It's using what are called tokens to go and figure out what's the vector difference between the question he's asking and the answer that I know. And connecting to all the LLMs, the large language models, it costs a little bit of money, so we turn on trial systems when we do these code jams for our customers. What do we love about the community code jams is they're open to everybody that's a member of the SAP community. And I'm in no way saying this to insult the rest of the world, but you guys in Brazil put on amazing community events. I was intimidated when I looked at the website. I've got this shirt, right? This was given to me when I came here. Like, you have custom shirts. I've got another one that's blue, and it has my name on the sleeve. Like, that doesn't happen to me. Like, I feel like an honored guest, and it's amazing that this is all being done at the community level. And it's amazing from everything that's being happened with Roberta and my colleague Savio, who helped escort me, and I see Luis back there from Curitiba. Like, I have so many friends. I'm a global person who feels part of a family that's much smaller because of this. And I've got 30 people in a room learning, spending their day, no billable hours, coding, asking questions. We had Jessica walking around, another solution advisor for SAP, and she's helping them figure out what's wrong. Well, they didn't put the right key in, or they didn't have their custom BTP URL configured correctly to connect to the LLM. So this is happening for 5 to 6 hours for free, no sales, just engagement, empowerment. It's about community. So I'm what's called now a community advocate. Oh, first I have a little joke that happens. So do you guys know the show Friends? We asked the Gen AI, who are the siblings on Friends? And it says it's Ross Geller, Monica Geller, Rachel Green. We told it to return it in JSON and do first name, last name. Is that correct? Are they siblings? Just 2 of them. Yeah, so it says, oh, well, Ross is dating Rachel. Maybe, you know, they're siblings. Maybe they're all connected. But no, one's going to marry the other one. That would make them maybe in-laws, 2 of them siblings, but right now they're not. So the community itself plays with this technology. We're here for you guys. We give you insights and knowledge, customers, partners, employees, students. We don't care your role. We know that we are rebuilding, in my mind, the power of SDN, the Software Developer Network, SCN. Where the community really started was the people talking about the code, having a question, getting an answer. So how does Gen AI fit into this? Well, if you guys use, okay, now it's time for Portuguese pronunciation. What do we call the SAP LLM interface? Is it Joule? Joule? Yeah, so Joule. So Joule. So SAP Joule is great, right? But it is an interface blocking people from getting access to all that custom SAP data in the back end. And it's going to talk to the LLMs, and it's going to go back and forth. What if everybody starts to use ChatGPT and Grok and Gemini and all these tools to say, how do I configure a clean core for Fiori? And they don't need Lucas, right? They're just going to get the right answer. No, we've got to have the community members, the human people, answering these questions. The people who build the product, I talk to them. As a developer and community advocate, we go advocating back and forth. We talk to the product owners, then we come to the customer and we say, this is what we've learned. Does that make sense? No, that's not what I needed. Jewel told me this. Well, Jewel lied. So we're going to fix it. We're going to do it this way. And we go back to the product owner and we say, this is the answer they're getting when they use Jewel, or this is the way the product's configured. It doesn't look right. And so there's this back and forth that we have between the developer advocates, the community, the product owners, and the executives. A couple of programs that I want to mention in the community. So we've got all different levels of architects, system admins, different people, but we also have champions. There's a couple of champions I've seen floating around. Do you guys know the SAP champion system? All right. I'm going to talk later. I can show you the website. The community organizers. This is what you guys are already doing. If there's a city in Brazil that doesn't have a community organizer, you should raise your hand. You should go to the website and nominate yourself and say, I want to be a community organizer. My colleague Laura Schmitz will help organize that with you, and we'll set you up with the process. And then you'll know, okay, this is how I do a meetup, just a simple meetup. You meet at a bar, you have a drink if you want to, you have a snack, and you just like hang out and you talk SAP. That's a meetup. Now a meetup plus, and also there's a German term for this called a Stammtisch. Nobody knows what that means. Stammtisch is people sitting around a table talking. It's the German phrase for it. And that's the idea, is that you get together and you just talk and you have a good time talking SAP. If you want to do presentations, that's like a Stammtisch plus. A little bit more effort. You have to have a presentation, a screen, whatever. Then you move into getting into the inside tracks, which we're at now. So our team helps organize those. So Laura Schmitz is always there for everybody in the world if they want to have an SIT. There's a lot of people going to one in Porto, which is happening later in this year, I think November timeframe or September, I can't remember. I'm not going to be there. But Porto has one. We're trying to get one going in Newtown Square in September. And there's this idea that the inside tracks are where you can showcase the technology without it being SAP's narrative. It's the community narrative. And so this is my first SIT. Like, you guys have me here, and I'm like, I want to attend this. I want to go to all the sessions. And I've learned a lot. Well, I learned when you said the product names, I recognized them. But I learned that you are presenting topics that matter to you. And that's what's really cool. Your customers have a point of view, and you're all trying to get together, customers and partners, and service that. That's the community. So that's a really long way of me saying you guys really don't need my help. You're doing great. But the idea for the community is that we're going to engage and enable you. So if we can get that awareness that leads to engagement and then adoption. I'm not measured on people turning on licenses in the cloud. I'm not measured on people going in and saying, this is how SAP HANA helped me fix this problem. I'm measured on community engagement. In person like this, I get to say to my team, this is what I did. They do it as well. We have other people traveling the world. But what if you go online to the community, community.sap.com, ask a question, and then somebody else answers it? It's a human-to-human interface, right? And then if you make a comment saying, that question is not how we do it in Brazil, we do it this way. Savio was telling me there's a couple of tax laws here, like you have a little bit of tax things you have to deal with. That was a joke. You should have laughed louder at that one. So taxes can be a real pain, and there's so much happening when you have to set these systems up. So an answer for somebody in America would be completely different than Brazil. And if you want to answer in Portuguese, no problem. You can say, this is answering in my native language. If you want to translate it with Google Translate and slap that into your answer, you can say, for those that don't speak Portuguese, here's what we're talking about. It's an important answer, but it's your community. You can talk in your native language. I have no problem with that. And just be yourself. So have a community ID. Go on LinkedIn. You don't have to be on our website. It's not all about just the SAP community website. That's where we are trying to keep engagement going because it's there for you. And LinkedIn is there for everybody in the world. So you might get a LinkedIn Microsoft point of view on LinkedIn and a feature that we don't have control over. So I know the community website's a little iffy. Doesn't work as well as some people like. It is a hosted product. It used to be a homegrown IT solution. We're trying to improve it all the time, change it to be better. I really have control over things like the drop-down menus and where you go for stuff, more than I have control over what's on the back-end server and how it's hosted. The number one thing I'm looking to fix right now is the login. Like when you use Universal ID and you log into the community and you have an S user and another Gmail user and other stuff, what a pain, right? And it doesn't map, and then it logs you out after 10 seconds on your phone, and you have to log back in again. Give me that feedback. Tell me other stuff that's bothering you, and I'll try to get it fixed. If I can't, it goes on a list, and we put it into the hopper, and we say to all the IT professionals, please fix this because our community members are frustrated. But if you just don't like it and don't use it, that's actually worse, because that silence shows the management maybe we don't need a community website. Nobody's going there. Rather, give me the complaints. Make a complaint online. Ask a question. Why is login so stupid? I don't care how you phrase it. It's not a secret, right? We know it. So go ahead. Don't use that phrase and quote me. You can say, why is it so stupid with your name, not mine. But all right. I wanted to talk about some of the major events happening. Have you guys all, as technologists, attended Devtoberfest? Do you know what Devtoberfest is? Okay. Close to half the room. This started during COVID. we couldn't travel. We were going to do Tech Ed remotely in 2020. So around the October timeframe, we're like, how do you get people excited to go to another webinar? Yay, I'm going to log into the computer from home and look at a screen and do nothing to interact with human beings. So we did a trial of a program called DevToberfest. October timeframe, Oktoberfest, Germany, but not being about beer or cerveza. All right. So if you want to drink, that's fine. If you don't, you just want to watch somebody talk about technology, we put it on YouTube. We have 2 YouTube channels that we manage on our team. One is the developers channel, developers YouTube. The other is the community YouTube. I'm going to work on growing the community YouTube to be more popular and have more videos that are more relevant to everybody in the SAP community. Developers are really doing well because the developer advocates put DevToberfest and developer news and content every week. It has a point of view. And the DevToberfest content, there are playlists from years and years now because we've done this since 2020. For developers, by developers. Some of you may even have presented or will be asked to present. It's your event. You go into YouTube on Monday. Maybe that's the day we talk about machine learning, AI, everything. All to do with that subject. Tuesday, SAP Build and UI5. Building developer tools could be one subject area. And then on Wednesday, we focus on ABAP because ABAP Cloud, you know, like new people learning ABAP Cloud, it's not really what they grew up with, and you have traditional ABAPers that are like, you can't ignore the ABAP community. It's too big. So the goal is to bridge that gap by having developers present ABAP topics that they're knowledgeable about, and the project owners like Sonia Leonard, who is the owner of SAP's BTP ABAP instance and how we go to market with that, she's there to talk and present. We have access to all these great executives and product owners at SAP who give their time, and then we run Q&A. So you've got Q&A happening, and you attend that session, and then you can also watch it, you can do a tutorial, and you can answer tutorial questions. Now, that board, the game board, has levels to it. Anybody else achieved Nerdvana? I've gotten to Nerdvana before, level 4. So you get points for every tutorial you complete. We track with your SAP user ID in the community. And we have this HANA Cloud server running all of the game board information based on your unique user ID. And it moves your character from cloud to cloud. Once you get to level 4, you're at the highest level, Nerdvana, but you're not guaranteed the grand prize. Then we take no SAP employees, unfortunately, but anybody that's a customer, partner in a country that we have no problems with, because some people are in countries that are not allowed to win prizes from us. So there's all this legal stuff, and I'm not an attorney, but the legal rules are we get to choose 10 people at random for a grand prize, and they get to go to the next year's Tech Ed. So this year, we have Tech Ed in Germany, in Berlin, and that's where, ooh, don't fall. So these are pictures of Bangalore because it's really exciting, a lot of activity. But November 4th to 6th, we're going to be online virtual with Tech Ed, but also in person. And that's where the 10 people that reached Nerdvana last year and were drawn out of a random drawing, they get an airplane flight, a hotel, tickets to Tech Ed, food coverage. Like, so it's an all expenses paid trip. And they're going to be in Berlin because in 2025, that is in, yeah, what is that, like 3 months? Jeez. They'll be flying over there because they contributed to DevToberfest as a participant to learn in 2024. This year, if you compete in DevToberfest and you win, you get to go to Tech Ed next year, I'm assuming. I haven't seen the legal thing. But yes, you're not allowed? So anybody who's not a resident of Brazil. No. But if you want to brag and you want to earn the points and you want to be in the community, active, this is what you do. You get into DevToberfest and you learn and you get to brag. So we put this on at the same time. Unfortunately, this year, there's going to be an ASUG Tech Connect event in North America in Louisville, Kentucky. So if you want to go to ASUG event, it's the same time. Unfortunately, I won't be there. I'll be in Berlin. There will be some developer advocate team members that could be in Louisville, but most of them will be in the keynote in Berlin. And we'll be streaming over online the keynote. But the idea is that you come to these events in person and you do kind of like the Code Jam. We have what's called a developer garage. Anybody gone to a developer garage? I need to see more hands. All right, 1. So you go and you actually complete tutorials that are purpose-built for Tech Ed. And the idea is that you get to go in and you get to do tutorials to earn tech ed badges. So gamification is important to a lot of people because they get to showcase that they've learned a lot of stuff about SAP and show it to other people in their community ID. We're also doing Credly badges now, where when people complete certain things, they get Credly badges that translate over to LinkedIn and other places. But the idea is that you're learning exclusive content at Tech Ed and meeting with people that you can ask a question. And we're trying to make sure that Tech Ed stays very technical. And there's a lot of functional things that are presented, and when I go to the other side today and present at 4 o'clock, I'm going to say that everything's functional and nothing's technical. You know that, right? So that was a joke. No, so we're trying to bridge the gap between new people that are level 1 and have never done anything with the cloud platform and BTP, and then we get people that are experienced, and they've been doing things on the cloud for years, and they want to see, well, what's the new feature in ABAP Cloud? Why should I do this tutorial? So all that stuff happens at Tech Ed and online. It's just not the same. But what I want to say about the SAP community being a global network is that we're planning for AI, but we're made up of humans. And if I could jump over to my website here. So this is the community webpage. I'm trying to shrink this blue banner, which takes up about 70% of the page, because I think that's really large. Shrink that down, so scroll down here, and this is where you can see the organizing a network. So we have geography areas where you can go into a certain geography and say, I'm in Brazil, but you also can be servicing your customers around a topic area. So the idea is that this is where you can go to be an organizer and get an event going. You can request, like I said, to be an event organizer in a city that doesn't have anybody already. And so we've got an entire blog post here. I know it's horrible to read on the screen. You don't have to, but if you go to community.sap.com and you want to learn how to organize a network event, you can go up here to groups, influence and feedback groups, and then SAP Community Event Organizers. So this is the process to get into that. But what if you wanted to know, like, who are some of my other leaders that are around here? Like, we've got champions in the room, maybe. We've got a mentor who used to be an SAP employee and now works for a partner or a customer. So this is where you can learn who your champions are. And there's an idea that with a champion, you get the recognition and the credibility to be somebody who is active and wants to help out. And so Catherine Keneally runs this out of Ireland. She describes what the whole champion is. And you can nominate some of your colleagues and say, I think this person is always doing things for SAP. And they're doing it for their community. So they should be a community organizer. So you can nominate people to be a champion as well. It doesn't just have to be about having events. It can be about going online, answering questions, being vocal. So it's your community. Like, that's what I always say, that as the human angle, this is your community. We're not here to say to you, you have to follow these rules. You do it like this if you're a partner. You do it like this if you're a customer. The idea is that it's your community. You make it what you want. And if you don't like stuff, that's where I'm trying to tell you with all of my heart. That's why I'm here. I'm listening. Now, if you say it in Portuguese, I might not understand it. So we have to talk in English, or you can send me an email and I'll translate it, but I truly mean that. I want to know what you need out of the SAP community. I can't fix pricing, not my thing. I don't do anything with pricing or contracts. I can talk about products, and I can go back to the product owners, especially BTP. We have a really good organization around the cloud products, and then we know a lot of people in the traditional world that do a lot of the ERP systems, and Business Suite and BDC and all the things that are happening are swirling around so many people. So in the end of the day, you might say, that's really cool for what's new, but I have existing customers, and they need this. Where can we go to get them the help they need? So I'm there to listen and to get that help for you. 2 other things, and then I'll have a little bit of time here for questions. Let's refresh. So the main community. So this is where we have our featured topics, recent activity. So it's a great landing page, but the events section is really important if you want to go to Devtoberfest and learn about it. And I think I had it open already. The event section of Devtoberfest has a really big calendar. This is the best place to build your Devtoberfest event calendar. Now, there's nothing listed yet in July, right? Because it starts later this year in September and October. But if I go back and look at last year, we had lots of activity. So each one of these leads to a presentation. This was the CAP stuff happening, ABAP Core, Over here on Wednesday, developing modern terminal-based tools for cloud integration. Do you guys know DJ Adams? So DJ Adams is a developer advocate over in England. He cares about two things. The terminal is his favorite thing in the world, and say blog post, don't say blog. Like, so every meeting that we have internally, we always just say blog, and it drives DJ crazy. But we love to like notate that DJ is a CAP expert and a terminal expert, and he's like old school development. He was one of those guys in the community 20 plus years ago. He was there when it started online. And this is where you can see DJ and other people present. If you click on any of these links, it's going to take you to the embedded videos from last year. So if you want to see Build Apps, Gen AI, last year's presentation, it's still there and archived. Maybe it's changed. So Daniel Robleski, who works with the build team, and Nora Von Thienen are going to update this with a new presentation this year, because Gen AI is such a super popular topic. So the idea is that we go through and we update the topics each year, but every day of the week for 4 weeks will be around a subject area. So we will be doing build and tools on one day of the week. And then on another day of the week, it'll be that ABAP focus. Another day of the week will be CAP and UI5, stuff like that. So track last year's if you want to learn what was already put into production and published. And then this year, we're going to have, again, all these calendar invitations. We're also going to put them like we did last year into LinkedIn. So you can actually select the calendar invite on LinkedIn from the SAP Developers Community handle, and you can see all the invitations that are happening. So great place to go to learn all about the stuff happening. I also had a link to TechEd registration. I'm not going to pull that up right now because I don't want to trust the internet to pull up the right website, but TechEd registration is open, so you can register for online right now. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint and show you one more slide here. So, Vicarentius? It's Carinthia? How do I say this? Vicarentius? So I was told I might lose half the audience that I did this. So, how about, it's blue. It's better? Okay. That's it. So any questions for me, I'm welcome to have them right now, or you can grab me in the hallway, take a photo. I know we have to get over to the court. All of us need to get to the court section for our next presentation, which is the other side where the functional stuff is happening. But if you guys have a question for me right now, I am more than willing to answer it. Nothing? Cool. Well, then I can give you 5 minutes back. Thank you so much for letting me be here. Love you.
Agora a gente tem tempo para almoço, tá, pessoal? Fiquem atentos aí com os avisos, tá? A gente volta na sequência. Marcelo? Desculpa? Todo mundo no auditório principal, exato.